Hi guys, welcome to episode 9 of Manic Monday. I'm going to take a break from the relationship storylines because I'm close to, well, I'm not close to the end of them, but I'm like right in the middle. I feel like I've made a lot of progress with that storyline and I want to hop back and cover the friendships that I've had as well. So the last friendship I told you about, I was in middle school. Was it elementary? It was elementary school because it was like fourth or fifth grade. It was fifth grade when I experienced what I experienced with my friend. So literally like end of fifth grade year, I'm just finishing up with court. I finished fifth grade, and that's when our grandma asked us like who we wanted to live with. So we ended up moving in with our mom. Um, and like I said, it wasn't our decision anyway because she had already decided that we were going to go back. So maybe it just was to make us thinking it was just to make us feel like we had an option or we had a choice or whatever, make us feel good about ourselves, I guess. So beginning of sixth grade year, I'm starting at a new school, and really I'm living with my mom for the first time in a long time because, like I said, the last time we had stayed with her was when I was like 8 or 9, maybe 7, 8 or 9, like a really young age. So I had, it's been a while since I've been in my grandma's house, so it's like a lot of adjustments I got to get used to. The school was predominantly Caucasian, so like the only African American black students that went there was like us, our cousins, a couple people from the church because they stayed close to the church too, and then like some more people like down the road. But essentially, we were damn near all family, almost all of us, not all of us though. It was just like a really small amount. Like we really didn't see more students, like see more students our color till like maybe 2 or 3 years in. And I feel bad for my cousins because they had been out there all their lives. So it's just like, dang, you had never even experienced the all black school, or at least a predominantly black school. It just you feel like you're on the outside. Me and my brother got into a couple fights over people that tried to slip the N word past us. So it's like, yeah, it was a lot. Sixth grade year. So I'm making friends, and I'm learning more about racist people and prejudiced people. So I'm learning that I can't be so goofy when I meet some of these people because then they have something insulting to say about me, my intelligence, or my skin color. So it's like sixth grade was rough. It was really rough making friends. So I ended up making about 2 or 3 friends that would go on to be my friend. It was a lot of pressure. But I did make 2 or 3 friends that went on to be my friend the rest of my time there at that school. So one of these friends, we actually didn't get off on a great foot because it was like she was prejudiced but didn't know she was prejudiced, and then she came from like a super racist family. So like she would say things that would like make other people laugh, but then I'd be like, damn girl, that's kind of racist, like we friends and I'm black, right? Like, so that was a thing for a while. And then I used to tell them about my first love and what we were doing at the church and like our spats we would get in, and I would tell them when everything was all good. So like they were like in these, a few friends were in on everything, and this girl out of the group, we ended up like getting into like a lot of beef over like I used to have like my dreams of like whooping her ass used to be like so intense that I would have like I said, dreams about it. Like it was bad. Like I wanted her bad. Like we used to get into it all the time. And then I can't remember what it was. I think it was a field trip that we had to take. For 8th grade, we were transitioning to high school. And I believe we like ended up close on the bus. So like we ended up as like buddy, like the how they pair the kids up on field trips. We ended up close because her last name also starts with an M. So it's like, and then we just ended up kicking it. And then after that, we was inseparable. Like we talked about so much stuff on that bus, and I think we reached a point of just like we found out we had a lot more in common than we didn't. So it was just like after that, it was no more beef. Like we was cool. We was real cool. I brought her. She was one of the friends that I ended up bringing to church with me. Like Yeah, met the family. Everybody loved her, but like I said, her family was like super racist. So it was just like, it's just crazy that her of all people became a really close friend of mine. So we were like on the school newspaper together. Like she was my G. I ain't gonna lie, and our friendship has lasted for a very long time. But there has been moments where I'm surprised she didn't, like dump me as a friend because it's just a lot. Like I mentioned in my other video, I think it was episode 4 or 5. To be friends with somebody that has BPD is just a lot, and I'm way more sympathetic towards that now. But when I was younger and I didn't know I had it, and I didn't know all of these extra issues were going on with myself, I expected a lot more out of my friends and like companions. Like I was just way more rigid, and I was unsympathetic, and it was very much like all about what I was feeling, what I was going through. I wouldn't open up to people as much as time went on. So it's just like it was a lot of things, but specifically our freshman year, her and a couple of the other friends that I had, come to be very, very cordial with, they came up with this thing called a contract because they were like exhausted with the whiplash of like me and my first love. Like it seemed like every week I came to them either crying or smiling on Monday. Like they literally said, we don't know what to expect when we see you on Mondays because you see him on Sunday and it's always something. So this is what I'm going to say from a mature standpoint. I didn't realize it then, but like I was telling them about all the stuff that I was putting up with and all the stuff that I was dealing with, and like they would obviously observe my decision making from there as I tell them the events and how they go. So from a concerning standpoint on some of them, for some of them, they were like letting me know that I had a dangerous decision pattern. I told them that I was sneaking drinks, and like my mom used to keep a bottle of wine in the refrigerator. I used to tell them when I would sneak a cup type thing. Like I was a really honest little kid with my friends, and they used to just like tell me like, they were the first group to really pose concern and make me feel like I needed additional help. So for that, I do appreciate them now. But back then, it was insulting. I'm like, you can't judge me because we kids are really mean. Kids are really mean. We said some mean shit to each other. Yeah, I was a nerd in high school, by the way. So I'm like, don't imagine like a cool group of girls that's like, oh my god, girl. Like, no. Like I was hanging with some A1 nerds. Like we was definitely the shit in our minds anyway. But anyway, that's not the point. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, so what is this contract that you guys have written up? So basically during this time we were also learning Spanish, and they used to call me like la basura, which means trash can or garbage. I can't remember which one. Whenever I would tell them like I kissed him or I let him hold me when he came over, like things like that. So they were like putting in the contract that I wish I still had it. If I ever mess with him again, then I can't be friends with them. Like we can't be friends anymore because they can't take it. And that I would be agreeing to sever all contact with them to be with him, or the alternative would be to sign the contract and then let him know that he would be blocked. We can no longer kiss. We can no longer talk. Like it was crazy, but I signed it. Because I was mad at him when they presented the contract to me, and I think that's what prompted them to write it. Because they were just like sick of seeing me sad. So it worked for a while, I guess, because I really did keep my distance from him. But it was kind of fucked up, you know what I mean, for me to subject myself to like something like that. Like if my daughter brought home something like a piece of paper that said, that basically manipulated her into making a decision, and involved her name calling her, like I would be pissed. Because I wouldn't want my girls to go through that. So it's just like now being a mom and being older, I just look back like, what the fuck. So I mean, everything was like peachy clean until I literally, freshman year, somewhere in the middle or the end, is when I started messing with my first love again. Because my parents got married. When did they get married? I think they got married right after school was dismissed, and this I was dating him at that time. So this had to be like right before we got back together, or like in a period where we were entertaining it, and they were pissed. They're like, "What about the contract? You've been doing so good." Because I was also struggling in math, so like that grade was plummeting, and then I didn't get along with my math teacher, so I was dealing with a lot of stress my freshman year, and it just prevented me from honoring the contract. I was like, fuck y'all, I'm finna get my man. It didn't work out. It led to strain in the friendship. Like, she would stop by my locker anymore. We barely were MySpacing each other. Yes, MySpace. Yeah, it's just like we weren't passing notes anymore. She would just kind of only like associate with me at lunch, or if we were like in a group, like all of our friends were together in a group, and she had to obviously communicate with me, or it would be awkward. And it was like something else had transpired. We began to distance ourselves from each other at the end of my freshman year, and then boom, beginning of sophomore year, we have no friendship at this point. Um, and then as soon as we start like warming back up to each other, as soon as we started speaking to each other again, that's when I got the news that we were about to move. And like I was happy as hell, but all of them were like so sad. They were so sad. I remember people walking up to me crying. Some people were asking me like questions like where we were going, was I excited? It was crazy. Like all the teachers knew about it. It was really crazy. It was a really crazy time. A lot of my friends were kind of emotional about it. And then I didn't really see her my last day there. But she did leave a letter for me. And I remember kind of rolling my eyes like, oh, she's so, this is so fake. This is so phony. But as soon as I read the letter, I broke down in tears. And that's how I knew, like, I really cared about her as a friend. You know what I'm saying? And I knew the move was going to be devastating to our friendship. And it definitely was, because we were already distancing ourselves from each other because of this guy that I kept chasing. One of the BPD traits is described as being boy crazy. So I'm thinking, I'm probably never gonna talk to her again, like, cause we really like. Cause when I moved, they stayed in contact with me like the first couple weeks. Like we were messaging constantly, but life gets in the way. And they were starting their second year of high school, so that comes with this whole other slew of stress for us, at least. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy because like I almost ended up fighting her when I first met her, and then we ended up becoming super close. And then like right when I needed her, right when our friendship could have like flourished the most with me moving and things like that, we ended up drifting apart. Amazingly, even after we drifted apart, our friendship survived. I swear, I really didn't think we would ever be like close again. We kind of kept the contact on social media, messages here and there. We would like each other's pictures and things like that. Right around the time that I had my first child is really when our friendship picked back up. She came to the hospital actually while I was in labor. And it was just like, it's kind of like that thing, kind of like the same situation, like where you leave an ex-boyfriend because you two aren't right for each other. Not no bad blood. He didn't cheat, you didn't cheat. It wasn't anything crazy. Y'all just kind of split on a mutual type tip, and y'all see each other again in public, and you get those same. It was kind of like that, but on the friendship side, like I just felt all these warm, familiar feelings, and it just felt so good to see her face during that time because I was really stressed out. I was really sad and depressed. So I mean, I saw her as a godsend, really. Some of my family members were there, but at that time I didn't really have a relationship with them. And the ones I did have were strained. So I did kind of feel like I was in a room full of strangers. So seeing her just it was wonderful. It was a nice escape. And I just felt like extra loved and supported. You know what I'm saying? A couple of my other high school friends kind of helped me out those first couple of months as well. It it was a really crazy feeling, which is why it's like crazy now looking at my life now and how I'm not in contact with none of these people anymore. I hesitate to reach out. It's just crazy because, you know, obviously I had people that supported me. I didn't have to. But back to her. So when my first is born, you know, we seeing each other more. Even got to the point where we were so familiar with each other, she began to babysit like my oldest for me when I needed it to, you know, when I needed to go to work, or if I had like an interview or a doctor's appointment or something like that, she would offer her help. Her and her spouse at that time. So that was very warming. Like I even made jokes like, you know, this is gonna be your godmama. And then there was another guy that I was crazy for around the time. The one I keep mentioning, my ex-boyfriend before I met the father of my children. We had been on some on and off shit, and she recognized the patterns from back in the day, and she began bringing it up and pointing it out. I remember heeding some of her advice dealing with this guy, and it did become a problem with our relationship, me communicating with her about our relationship. So that kind of put the strain on the friendship, but we were still close. Like at one point we were even like working together, me and my best friend. So it was just like I wanted to hold on to her tight this time because I knew she was a good friend, you know what I'm saying? And I believe what put the cherry on top, we hadn't really hung out since like before COVID. And then after COVID, you know, I had my second child, and we hung out a couple times because she had her child by now as well. So, you know, now we're getting the kids familiar with each other in a way, and also still meeting up for each other's sake. And she just, you know, I just felt like she was more cynical. And maybe because she knew more about my life, me opening up. And then I also feel like maybe she was trying to do it from like a caring standpoint. She's always been straightforward with me. Like that's one of the reasons why we almost got into a fight when I first met her, because she's very direct. You know what I'm saying? And I am too. You know, especially if I get pissed off. So I knew that these comments and sentiments were coming from a place of construction, but at the time I got so mad about it. I just felt like the world was against me. And I'm gonna be honest, I did begin to shut her out, and then I began hearing rumors that she was like talking, you know, discussing me right after my dad passed away, like her godson's mom and my big sister. So it was just like I never got that figured out. So now I have underlying trust issues with like, you know what I'm saying, becoming cool with her again, reaching out. I don't know what to do with that friendship, but she's one of the realest ones. You know, she still reaches out from time to time, birthdays and, you know, special events and holidays and stuff like that. But we're just not as close as we was, and I miss it. And I feel like I had something to do with it being messed up. And I just feel so like bad and uncomfortable and disgusted, you know, that we aren't as close as we are anymore. But then like maybe it's one of those things where like everything lasts for a season. I don't know, but we've been friends for like a long time now. I'm talking 10 plus years. She's the only one. After her, I made two more friends at the new school after leaving her school, and that'll be the next friendship video. Friendships was something else, and I'll say that and leave it at that, and that'll be in episode maybe 10 or 11. But yeah, as far as her, looking back at all the friends that I accumulated during my lifetime so far, she is definitely one of the people that I will always brag on as a friend. Her, and then there's another friend that I also made from that school, which is a he. And it's not like that, y'all. Calm down. It's not like that. But we was good friends for a long time too. We stopped being friends when I turned a sophomore. And that's because of the communication. And then we just never kind of fell back in touch. But she was one of the people that offered me one of the realest friendships I experienced. And I really appreciate that from her. I just wish I knew you know, my skill. It could have been a lasting friendship, in a strong light. But I'm gonna end the episode there, y'all, because now y'all got me tripping on memory lane. That's crazy. I might text this girl. Bye.